start recording. Okay. Okay, so I'm on Glitch now and I've logged in and I'm going to start a new project. So I'm going to click on new project and I'm going to choose the first option under the starter apps. We don't really need everything that comes with this, so we can get rid of some stuff. But I'm just going to go ahead and click on that. And that's going to bring me to this new project. Um, and let's see. What is this? This is your own brand new website. Make an edit to your code by opening the to-do and following the steps. Okay, so it has some like stuff in here that's kind of like tutorial-ish stuff that we don't necessarily really need. So I'm just gonna get rid of that. Um, and so there's a few things in here that we don't really need. There's like a README, which for a lot of, if you're a developer these days, you're probably pretty likely to be publishing your code on GitHub or GitLab or something like that. And so your projects will usually have like a little README, which is what's going to show up when you go to a project page so that people who are looking for your code like understand what they're looking at. So that's what this README is. And it's kind of like explaining what's going on inside of Glitch, which is actually kind of nice. So we can take a look at that. And there's a few other files in here, so we'll go through those as we go. Um, the README is written in a language called Markdown, which you may have not have used before, but I actually really like it. I use it for a lot of stuff that I work on, but essentially it lets you create HTML without having to write all of the syntax tags like the angle brackets and tags and stuff like that. So this is what Markdown looks like. You use a little hashtag. That means H1. Just writing some text is a paragraph. You can put other things like links. So that's how you write a link. So it's just like a faster way to write Markdown. And then you can preview the Markdown and it just generates HTML. So that's nice. It has this like built-in Markdown thing for us. And we probably won't really use that very much because we're just going to be making like a project. We're not going to be making like open source software, which is what this type of thing would normally be more useful for. But yeah, that's what the README is for. If you've never seen a README before. Let me pause for a second. Is everybody able to create a new project? You don't really need to follow along. You can like probably catch up with this later, or I'll leave some time in a bit for you guys to kind of play around with stuff. But does anybody have any questions so far? Is anybody not able to access Glitch? Okay, I'll take that as
Yeah,
no.
yes, I'm logged into Glitch right now.
Okay,
Same here.
okay, great. Um, well,
Professor, I have
yeah.
is this like P5 where I have to use Google Chrome or can I use a different browser? Because I'm in a different browser right now.
I don't think it matters. I always use Chrome, so I can't say that it's exactly the same in other browsers, but it should be more or less the same.
Alright.
Yeah. If you see anything that looks weird or different, you can let me know, but it should be pretty much the same thing. But yeah, so yeah, that's a good point is I'm sure most of you guys have used the P5 editor or some other type of IDE. So an integrated development environment is what this is called, what the page that we're on right now. And what that basically means is that your code and the project are in the same place. So most of the time when you're working on software, you have like a window like Sublime Text or Brackets or Atom or VS Studio or something like that, where you're writing your code. And then you usually have to go somewhere else to see the result of that code, whether it's your browser or your application or something like that. And what an IDE does is it kind of puts everything together in the same place. And so we'll be kind of like looking at the Glitch IDE today and seeing where everything is. The thing that's really cool about these is that everything is there. You can save it online. You can find it wherever you go. So I'm not even, on Monday I was at my house on a Mac computer. Today I'm in the BMCC lab on a PC, and it looks pretty much exactly the same. So I don't really have to worry about like my platform or anything like that. So it's going to be super useful for us for class. It's also cool that it's very easy to share these projects. So you don't have to send me files. You just send me a link and I can go and look at the code and I can edit the code and, give you suggestions and stuff like that. So that's why it's very useful for this class. I wouldn't really probably use it for like a personal project just because I would want to have a little more control over the environment, but for this, it'll be perfectly useful. So anyway, if you do have any questions, I'm going to go over a lot of like kind of boring information today, but we're just going to get used to the environment we're in and getting back into some JavaScript. So if you do have questions, always feel free to interrupt me in the chat or on mic, and I can pause and go over them. So anyway, let's look at the README, and let's actually just go ahead and read it and see what's up. So it tells me this is a basic HTML project. That's great. So we have HTML, JavaScript, and CSS. That's what we want. And it says you can upload assets like images or audio to assets. So that's good to know. There's this little assets box right here, and it already has like a little illustration in it. And I would imagine that we can drag stuff in here, but we can also click on this upload button. And so we don't have any assets right now, but we may in the future. So that's good to know. Let's go back to README. So what's in this project? The README, where we tell people what our website does. The index.html, we all know what this is, hopefully. We probably don't really need to do anything with this, but we'll look at it in a second. Then our style sheet, we might have to add a couple things in here. And then our script is where we're going to put most of our code. So script.js is what we're going to use for doing Three.js stuff. And then blah, blah, blah. So then the to do, I'm probably going to just like delete this because I don't really want this in here, but to do is like maybe where we would say stuff that we have left to do. Uh, yeah, I don't know, whatever. Maybe we'll just leave it for now. And then some information about Glitch. So that all looks cool. And so what we're looking at here is a preview of what this will actually look like on GitHub or something like that. If we want to edit the markdown, we can click on that edit button, and now I can actually make changes. So, if I wanted to say something about the project, I could say, let's just delete all this, and we'll say, this is MMP 310 project number 1. And so that'll be a little header. And I'll put in a dash to make a list item. And I'll say for our first project, we're working with 3.js. And so I think, I don't know if I have to save it. I think it'll auto save. Yeah, it'll auto save. So I don't need to do that. So then if I want to go to see what it looks like in real Markdown, I just click on the preview and there it is. And if I want to go back to edit, maybe I'll add like a link to our class page. I can say, here's a link to the MMP 310 class site. And if I want to make this a link, I mean, I don't know why I'm doing Markdown right now because it's not that important, but I can put this link in brackets. So what I did there, I'm getting a little sidetracked, but if you select something and then put brackets around it or parentheses or whatever, it'll put on either side. You don't have to do it that way. You can also just add a bracket and add another bracket. And then let's put some parentheses and let's put a little link to our class page, which is 310.on. Cool. So let's paste that in there. And now we'll have a little link when we preview our Markdown. And I'm a little worried this is going to open up in this page. So I'm going to hold Control, but I don't know if I needed to do that. Anyway, there's our class page. Okay, so there's our link. So yeah, we're not really going to spend a lot of time on Markdown, but we might add some notes and stuff in here later. So for our to-do, we don't really need anything in here. I'll leave it here for now. I'm just gonna say make 3JS project. We'll have like, that'll be our to-do list for now. Okay, so let's look in our index.html page. We're not going to spend a lot of time on here. There is like a lot of glitch stuff here that we could get rid of if we wanted to. Um, but I don't really think we need to right now. I'm not super worried about this. It's not really worth like spending a ton of time on. But yeah, maybe eventually we would want to change like the title of the website. Um, Trying to see where the script tag is because I want to make sure the script tag is actually connected. So let's see, can I do a find? Yes, I can. Let's look for script. Nope. Okay, there it is. So there's the JavaScript file. So that's going to be important. We need to know where that is for later. But there it is. So that's okay. I'm hearing a little bit of noise. Uh, oh, I think maybe Kamani. Okay, thank you. I'm not sure if you had a question, but if it was just the mic was off.
No, I don't have a question. Just switch to the browser on Discord.
Okay, no worries. All right, there's our script file. Don't really need any of this other stuff. I'll probably go back and delete this later, but let's just leave it for now. Let's skip over to our CSS. So here's the default CSS. There's actually like a bunch of crap in here. We might delete some of this stuff later too. We don't really need all this stuff, but let's leave it for now. Um, and then the script is where we're going to spend most of our time. And you can see there's some stuff in here already. We're going to delete this and write our own code, but we're going to keep going over our project first. So those are all of our files. We saw that we can add assets. We can also create files by using this little plus button. So we can make a new JS file, and we might do that in a bit. But then there's also this settings bit. So let's click on settings and let's go to edit project details. Oh, okay, so I can change the name. So let's change the name here. I'm going to call this MMP 310 3JS demo and click save. Okay. I can also close this whole section. So that is useful if I want to focus on just the code. Let's see. So that's the project details. If I go to the project page, okay, so this is just like a description of the project. And oh, that's what the website actually looks like. So yeah, we definitely have to delete some of this stuff. But let's leave that for now. Switch project, da, da, da. And then, okay, most of the stuff we don't need to worry about right now, but I may want to toggle text wrap. I actually definitely want to do that. So I'll show you if I go to the README. Oh, actually, I deleted all that stuff. But before on the README, there's like a ton of text here. Okay, let me just fill this in with text and see how it just keeps going and going and going and going. That's not what I usually want to see in my text editor. So let's turn on text wrap. And so now it's going to wrap the text to a new line, which is more what I want to see. So that's a good setting to have. And then the other one is the light dark theme. I think this is probably better. Let's see. I was hoping I could increase the text size a little bit, but it doesn't look like that's an option. So I don't know if it's how visible it is. Yeah, the text is pretty small looking at the stream. So let me just Google it real quick. Glitch increase text size. How do I change font size? That sounds complicated. Okay. I thought this was one of the main settings, but I don't see it here. Um, let's see. Maybe it's an account setting. Okay, doesn't really look like there's a lot there. What is this keyboard thing? Okay, I don't want to do that. Okay, well, I'll have to look at this later. I'm sure there's a way to do it. But for now, I'm just going to increase the size of the browser. So everything is going to be kind of like zoomed in a little bit, which is going to look kind of weird, but that'll be what I do just for today. So it'll be readable, but I'll figure out how to fix that later. Okay, so let's look at the rest of the tools that we have for Glitch. So there's a bunch of different like little tools down here. I don't really know what the status does. I haven't used that much, but I guess you can set. Oh, it tells you this is just like data about your project. So we can see how much memory we're taking up, how much disk space, the CPU, always on. I think you have to pay for that, so we won't worry about that. There's some logs here. So this would be useful if you were running like a back end and you wanted to see like what was happening, when people were logging in and stuff like that, if you had errors. We probably won't use this too much. But then the terminal is something that's actually super useful. And I'm going to go over this in a little bit more detail in a second. But essentially what a terminal is like a text-based way of interacting with your environment. So I used to teach coding just from the terminal, and people really hated that because you have to type stuff. But it's super, super powerful. And I'm just going to go over some like really basic commands so you guys will see how it works. And it really is how like the industry actually works. So if you have like any future goals of like working as a programmer, it's like really, really essential that you have some basic understanding of how the terminal works. So we're going to go over that a little bit today. Then we have our toolbar. We can set up stuff here that we're not really going to need, so I'm going to leave that alone. But then we have this preview button, and this is where we can actually preview the result of our website. So if I go to open a preview pane, this is like the preview of what the website looks like. So we can see this is just like this like default thing. There's not really like, this is just like the glitch default when we create it. Um, and we can refresh this page and yeah, so this is kind of like the P5 preview. But we can also go to preview in a new window. And so we can see our website as like a full page website. And this is actually like a live website. Like if I copy this link and I put it in the chat, you guys will be able to go to that page. And you can also remix that page. So if I make like a template for something, and then you guys are going to work on it, I can, write a bunch of code and put it on there, and then you guys can just grab that link, and there'll be a remix button down here, and so you can just click that button and then go add your own code to it. So that's what is pretty useful about the way that Glitch is set up. Let's get rid of that preview pane. And okay, so that's the glitch interface. I'm gonna stop and restart the recording and go over a little bit of terminal stuff before we get into our actual project. So let me do that real